These are the voices of resilience, of courage, of families who refuse to let a diagnosis define them.
So my name is Debbie, and I live in a suburb of Vancouver, British Columbia. My journey started 25 years ago when my eldest son was 10 years old. So that was 2000, and he first presented with attention deficit signs, and so he was diagnosed with that. And then he started to drag his foot when he was walking. And then the school noticed that, and we got a diagnosis of ALD. And then Children's Hospital called me back after and said, well, your other son has the genetics for it too. And that was devastating. That was just absolutely devastating. So very briefly, Kieran went quite quickly into a wheelchair. But he was still talking. He was still cognitively very capable. He had wonderful support. All the schools he went to, he had a fantastic support system. They were lovely with him, and everyone loved him. Yeah. So, and then of course the disease progressed, and he started to lose his language, speech. Eventually, he had a tube feed, he had a urinary catheter, a 16-year decline. And that's devastating too, because you're watching your child slowly disappear. And then 8 years ago, he passed away. He just seemed to have something infectious that wouldn't resolve. And they never did really sort of get to the bottom of it. And we had already had a discussion with the clinic in Vancouver, BGH, the Adult Metabolic Clinic, that when it came time, we wouldn't prolong his life and that we would make him as comfortable as possible and he would pass. And so he did pass very peacefully, and we had a lot of support. He was in a care home, really, in a house literally just down the road from me on my street, which was so lucky because I could go and see him when he was there on a very regular basis and keep a close eye on him. That was him. And then my youngest son, of course, he was diagnosed at the same time, but he was not symptomatic. And he would have, as a child, MRIs, I think twice a year. And now he's in his late 20s and he still gets an MRI every year. And he only really started to come to terms with how this diagnosis was going to affect him in 2019. So it's only been about 5 years that he's really had the real impact of what that diagnosis means. That's been really hard for him. I mean, already he had to deal with the passing of his brother and then to deal with the actual impact of the diagnosis for him. And he got a degree, which I'm just so grateful for. He's a smart guy, and but he's been affected greatly. Obviously, how could he not be, by this whole journey with ALD? Yeah, so as a mom, it's just, well, I've been dealing with this for 25 years, but it just seems as if it never ends. It just never ends. It just keeps going. Thankfully, I think in that time, I have learned some really good coping skills. And I mean, right from the get-go, even when Kieran was diagnosed, I was like, well, a serious situation requires serious fun. The biggest challenge was the loneliness of dealing with this whole situation without Facebook. I mean, every time I went to an appointment, I would say, can you connect me with other parents that are going through this disease? And nothing ever came of it. Nothing ever came of contacting other parents. They had a rare disease, and it's still going, Rare Disease Foundation at Children's Hospital in Vancouver. And so I went to, I think, a couple of their meetings. It was helpful, but it was only until until Facebook came along and ALD Connect was there. That was my saving grace, because, all these years I had been dealing with this. But that is the key in this disease, is the psychosocial support. I mean, friends and family can be great, but it's you and I, two moms, of boys talking to each other, that is the biggest comfort, the biggest support. Other challenges, we had good medical care, we had good support. We had respite services through a pediatric hospice in Vancouver, Canuck Place, which was amazing. That was an amazing place. You'd think that would be a very sad place to be. The care aides at this hospice were hilarious. A lot of them were guys, and they would get up to all kinds of shenanigans with the kids, and they made it the most amazing place. It was, and the nurses, of course, but these care aides, just phenomenal. And I still give money to Canuck Place. But really, this is the greatest support, is with another family, another parent that's been through this. It's huge, because that feeling of being alone with this disease is terrible. I mean, it's one of the worst things about it, is having a rare disease. And I mean, to liken it to, say, if our kids had Down syndrome or another disease that had a high incidence, we would have support groups, and we'd have that ability to connect with people very easily. But with a rare disease, you don't have that. And I think being in Canada, even more so. You feel as if you're sort of in a boat on the ocean by yourself a lot of the time, and so I think connection is everything. Obviously I have hope for gene therapy in the future, the good side of AI in helping the medical system in dealing with all these rare diseases. AI hopefully will have a real benefit for the community of people that have rare diseases. But yeah, I think the biggest one, the main thing, is the psychosocial connection piece. It's huge. It's huge, because the value of doing this is it's priceless. I think that's what we give to our kids with this disease, is to show them that whatever happens, if you're breathing and you're alive, you got a pulse, you got to go out there and enjoy life and live every day as much as you can.